Hello there. Welcome to another Harley Carnes podcast. Harley on the headlines. I want to thank you for joining in for a look at, some of the news of the day, the week, the times. This is a partnership. I'll do the cast. You can help tell other people that it's here. I would appreciate that. Thank you for liking, subscribing, following, that sort of thing. There are meetings, nuclear negotiations going on between the U.S. and Iran, with Oman working as the mediator. Iran is working hard to try to protect its nuclear program in hopes of one day having what the world says it may not have, nuclear weapons. Now, they don't say that. They can't say that. But their actions have always said that. Kind of like playing basketball. Don't listen to the trash talk and don't watch their eyes, because both will lie to you. Watch the way the body moves. Keep your eyes on the chest. Movement. Actions speak loudest and most clearly. The U.S. has two goals in the negotiations. The first is to make plain the reality that Iran must not and cannot ever develop a nuclear weapon. The second is to avoid going to actual war against Iran if we don't have to. Iran's words have always been to stall and continue toward nuclear weapons. The Trump administration's words have always been a prelude to action. They are very different governments with very different goals and tactics. Speaking of things nuclear, the future of clean, abundant electricity is pretty clearly nuclear power. I don't care what the greenies say. That's the reality of it. And the need for clean and abundant electricity has already outrun our capacity, which is why the Trump administration is moving ahead with plans to license dozens of small nuclear power stations to feed the tremendous appetites of the artificial intelligence boom. Data centers are popping up all over and will propagate rapidly if there is enough electricity to run the banks of supercomputers. It'll produce hundreds of billions of dollars in investments into a wide array of communities and create thousands and thousands of jobs. As always, though, with nuclear power, it's the waste that is the problem. What to do with it, how to dispose of it. The Trump administration is looking for states with the ability to host eternal nuclear waste disposal. Generally speaking, that means deep, geologically stable holes that can house canisters of nuclear waste forever. Utah, with its salt mountains, and Tennessee are already doing it. Tennessee's been in the nuclear business for decades at Oak Ridge near Knoxville. But this is an opportunity for a number of states to get into that program, that business of storing nuclear waste so far underground that the world and humanity will never, ever encounter it again. The situation is far from solved. There is more than 100,000 tons of waste waiting already for storage. That pile will grow rapidly as new nuclear plants start operating. And the plan is to have 3 new small nuke plants up and online by July. Yeah, Trump does not waste time, doesn't he? Some of us are feeling a bit smug lately. Some of us took a look at the electric car business a long time ago and said right out loud, the liberal governments who are pushing it and the automakers who are falling for its siren song were dramatically overestimating the public's appetite for it. As the world now understands, the solar world is too inefficient to support the electric vehicle industry, which wastes more energy in manufacturing and support than it saves with the final product. Electric-powered vehicles are cool and they're fast, but they have not lived up to the hype, and the simple fact is they're not selling, no matter how sexy you make the package. People don't want them, and particularly they don't want them where it's cold. Not enough numbers to make them viable. Stellantis is the latest big automaker to pull back on its electric vehicle ambitions, and its shares are taking a beating at the moment. Jeffrey Epstein is like a virus that keeps on spreading even after his death. Now Norway plans to start an investigation into its own foreign ministry to see just how deeply Epstein's hooks went into the Norwegian government and how many captains of industry, so to speak, came under the spell of him and his sexy little army of Lolitas. President Trump may have to fight Democrats on the far left of American society at every turn, but it doesn't stop him. Doesn't really much slow him down. Every so often he chalks up another big success. His latest clear success is a very clear win for everyone in this country, no matter what the politics is. The violent crime rate in America is down to a 125-year low. That's real and measurable success to everyone's benefit. Love him or hate him, but you live in a safer country today than you did just a year ago. And there's no doubt that removing tens of thousands of often violent, illegal immigrants from the streets of the nation is a large part of the explanation. The economy is stronger, no doubt. It's interesting that both of those realities take time to be noticed and felt by the average person, but that does not make it any less true. Some good news on the Ukraine war. Both Ukraine and Russia say they have made some progress in their peace talks taking place in Abu Dhabi. In the meantime, someone went after Russia's deputy chief of military intelligence. Vladimir Alexeyev was shot multiple times, and so far he survives. He's a tough old general. It was evidently an attempted assassination in his residential building northwest of Moscow. Now, that's a major investigation, and the fact is the attack could have come from a wide variety of directions. A senior official in the GRU, what used to be called the KGB, has many, many enemies. The economic pressure on Cuba by the Trump administration is working. President Miguel Diaz-Canel went on his office's YouTube channel with an announcement. He said it's true. Trump has shut off his oil supplies from Venezuela, none since December, and that's where Cuba got most of its oil. This has been a very effective club. Cuba is small. Its energy situation is becoming dire. Cut off its oil and you cut off much of the island's electricity, and that affects everyone and every industry, every hospital, and the nation's economy. Diaz-Canel says he's ready to sit down for talks with Washington on any issue of mutual interest. That's a clean, open storyboard of opportunity for the U.S. to negotiate actual changes in Cuba. Diaz-Canel said he's open to discussions without pressure and without conditions. This is big. He's not talking about giving up on communism, just everything else. One of the issues left behind in Venezuela after the arrest of Nicolas Maduro is the team of crooks he left behind, of course. If the people who acted as his front people, those who knew his wishes and carried them out, were still in place and able to still do his wishes, then the success of Maduro's arrest would be blunted, at least somewhat. Now there's another arrest being reported. Media reports in Colombia say Alex Saab, an alleged Maduro frontman, has been captured in Venezuela. It was a joint operation of the FBI and Venezuelan security agencies. Saab is being held right now by the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service. He was on the streets after Joe Biden pardoned him and let him out of prison in December of 2023. Saab's lawyer denies he's been apprehended, claims he's relaxing calmly at his home in Caracas. The same media reports also say Venezuelan businessman Raul Gorin, the owner of Globovision, a TV network, was arrested for allegedly paying bribes to Maduro's government related to a state-run food program for the hungry and related to housing projects in Venezuela. Venezuela tried to protect that guy from being arrested by appointing him as a special envoy and granting him diplomatic status as a shield against prosecution. Didn't work. He wound up in prison anyway, but then found a friend in Joe Biden. How that happened and whether or not he was in some way transactional is not known Not yet. Information is more likely to leak on that end. Give it some time. We have wanted less expensive prescription drugs for so many years, it's become an almost empty mantra. But now it isn't. And if you want to find less expensive drugs, now you can. Trump RX is up and running. Prescription drugs are available through the White House's new online product called Trump RX. Right now, the prices are dramatically lower, and more drugs are being added all the time. It's a simple website, and unlike the Obamacare website, this one seems to work. It's trumprx.gov. You open the page, and there's a search bar. It says, find your medication. You can put in the name, or you can search by category, and bingo. Wegovy, for example, weight loss drug, costs $1,349 normally. It's $149 on Trump RX. Cetrotide costs $316 normally. It's $2,250. Toviaz is typically $290 a pill, $43.50. It's a very long list, and it's getting longer and longer. Here's the thing. The pharmaceutical industry, which has been taking Americans to the cleaners for decades, is still going to make an awful lot of money. You know, most of the stories that make the news are about hardship or challenge, paucity, risks, violence, hunger. Just a partial list, of course, but here's one you don't hear very often. Too much food. An actual flood of food. In fact, that's what they're calling it in Germany, the potato flood. For some reason, the harvest of potatoes went bonkers, bounty on top of bounty. Enough potatoes being brought up out of the dirt to feed every man, woman, and child in Berlin many times over. It's being called a food bank buster crop. Huge. Extremely unusual, of course. So they're giving away potatoes. 2 semi-truckloads were sent to Ukraine. Barely made a dent. Food banks, homeless shelters, soup kitchens, school cafeterias, churches, even zoos have more potatoes than they know what to do with. 4,000 tons of surplus came from one potato farmer. And Germany has a lot of potato farmers. You got to get creative, and that's pretty easy when it comes to taters. Germans eat more potatoes than most, 120 pounds per year, per person, on average. This is going to take some doing, really. Thank you for joining us for today's Harley on the Headlines. I'm kind of thinking French fries, maybe a loaded baked potato on the menu today. I don't know. Maybe. Thanks for helping spread the good word that I'm out here working on this. Hope you'll like, follow, subscribe, urge others to do the same. I'm Harley Carnes. We will talk again soon. And in the meantime, do me and do yourself a favor, please. Be happy today. Make some good choices in life and fly safe.